So we just finished the podcast, which is out on the call up. If you are watching this on YouTube, if you're watching on live on Twitter right now, look out for the interview with Dax Fulton on the call up tomorrow. But Dax, thank you for hanging in a little longer than the interview we just did to break down some of the nastiest at-bats from the season. For those who don't recognize the super tall, lanky guy on the video in the middle, and also the guy in the little camera on the left, this is Dax Fulton, left-handed pitching prospect with the Miami Marlins, who had a phenomenal season. Dax, thanks for hanging around and breaking down some ABs with me.
All right, let's get to it.
So I picked a few random ones. I've tried to pick the ones that I thought really showcased the arsenal. But we'll just kind of go in any order and we'll see how much you remember. But also, I think it's a cool opportunity to just kind of lead into your stuff and maybe what you think about as a pitcher. And you talked about it on the podcast, some of the big improvements you feel like you've made mentally in the way that you can attack hitters. So we'll start with just what is an absolute nightmare, which is a left-handed hitter having to face you. And this is you in Chattanooga. So this is the breaking ball, by the way, too. And we talked about it, right? You have the two breaking balls. You've got the kind of more of the downer 80-mile-an-hour curveball, and then you've got that sharper 85 to 87-mile-an-hour also curveball. But what variation was that to kind of
that last one right there?
Yeah.
I mean, that's more of like the one that I'm just trying to land for a strike. And if you see the video, I was like, what in the strike call? Because you could see it in my hand. I was like, man, like I want the strike. See my hand come up. I'm like, yeah.
And he told you, tells you it's a little out, but it looks like that kind of crossed in the right spot. So
I don't know. Did that. But yeah, that's more of like the one that I'm just trying to steal for a strike. I'm not necessarily trying to get a swing and miss there. And if they swing at it and they hit it to the dirt or whatever, then it's a quick out and move on to the next batter. But that one's more of like the slow one that I'm just trying to land for a strike and kind of work ahead on the hitter.
So you go right back to it again, which is funny because I think this is almost essentially in the same spot, called strike.
Hey, I was just trying to prove it to him that it was the strike in the first place because I couldn't remember it that bad.
So you show him the curveball twice now, though. So as a pitcher, I watched a lot of your starts. You rarely triple up on that, especially with how much you develop the changeup. So you go third pitch here is you did triple up on it, right? Yeah. That was the breaking ball. So is that a testament to just how much confidence you have in it, especially against lefties, or would you triple up on it against anybody?
I mean, my curveball has been something that I've had confidence in since I've been in high school. Like, it's been something that, like, I used to throw more strikes with my curveballs than I did my fastball, right? Yeah. And so I've always had the confidence in it. And so you'll see that in my starts most of the time. Whereas if I feel like I'm struggling to land a strike with my fastball, I'll flip a curveball in there, maybe one, maybe two, just to try to catch myself up and almost like reset myself. Because sometimes when I throw that, it's almost like a reset pitch for me because it's kind of become such second nature now to just land that for a strike. And it really helps me a lot having that confidence.
So you get that kind of weird swing because it was in on him, but that's the third time you throw it in a row. And now on this fourth pitch, that's the fastball. They honestly, great take after seeing three breaking balls that started there. So you go with the fastball up, he takes it. What are you thinking there as a pitcher? As you had a pitch to work with. It was 1-2, and he makes a good take there on an elevated heater. What are you thinking about going to after that? Now he's seen three breaking balls and he shut down a pretty well located fastball at the top of the zone.
Yeah. So when I was trying to get a swing and miss, obviously kind of like take your shot for the strikeout there, right? And he didn't take it, and it was close, but it was probably a ball or two up. When I see that, I see a hitter, in my opinion, that didn't almost like he wasn't looking to hit the ball. He was just kind of like in a defensive mode. And so if you see, I'm pretty sure this next pitch, I throw a fastball away to strike him out. I throw a curveball. But anyway, I normally either go fastball away is what I would do there, and either get like a weak ground ball or like I said, try to get some sort of strikeout.
How much do you think that fastball, and something I saw that you did really well, especially in the back half of the year, was setting up your pitches. And that fastball up there, right? And you said he was in defense mode. How much do you think that sets up this breaking ball, which kind of starts up there, at least in the hitter's eye, and then bends right back in there? Is that something that you're pretty focused on, is setting up those breaking balls as well with the fastball elevated?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something like when you just learn how to pitch, is like learning how to tunnel that fastball up high, right, and then learning how to throw your breaker off of that, right, because those pitches look so identical. And then whenever it breaks at the end, it's almost like you get them off timing quite a bit. But yeah, I think the big thing for me was learning how to throw with my fastball up, because once I learned how to pitch with my fastball up in the zone, it really made my curveball that much better, in my opinion.
So this was a fun at bat because, I think you unintentionally, I don't think you intentionally went up and in on Jace Young here. Really good hitter, but I thought it set up the breaking ball really well. So I'll kind of just I'm going to let it roll. And if something comes to your mind, let me know and I'll pause it and you can kind of walk us through it. But here's
Okay.
that first pitch fastball that's up. Obviously, that's always scary for a lefty coming from a 6'7" lefty. But then the next pitch. Oops. Sorry, reset, but we'll go to the next pitch here. So that's
it wasn't intentionally obviously to throw up at him. But when I did do that, I felt like it definitely did open a like almost like he's going to take the next pitch play, because I was wild, right? And so I was like, there's probably not a better time to kind of flip it in and even the count, just because, like I said, I do have pretty good confidence with my curveball.
So you flip that one in. I think that was a changeup, right, that you missed down on, or was that a fastball?
It's probably a curveball, honestly. It looked like a curveball if you watch.
Oh, yeah, it was.
Fastball. Either a curveball or fastball. It wasn't a changeup.
Looked like a curveball. So you miss with that one. Now you're 2-1. This, and again, your confidence here, you're comfortable going to almost any pitch here, right?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is just like it doesn't matter what pitch. Like I threw a fastball there, but for me, it doesn't matter what pitch I throw there. It just has to be a strike, because if I want to even the count back up and give myself a chance, not like I couldn't get in out 3-1, but pitching at a 2-2 count rather than a 3-1 count, the batting average goes way down. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And then again, it's just like the way that your fastball sets this up, right? Fastball in the inner half.
He actually got a pretty swing on
pretty
that.
good hack from a good hit. I mean, he's a heck of a hitter.
And
when you see a guy take a hack like that on your fastball, what does that kind of do to you as a pitcher? Because not a lot of guys, especially lefties, get swings like that off on your heater. And it wasn't like it was center cut. It was, pretty well located on the inner half.
I mean, the way I look at it is I threw a pitch in the zone trying to get ahead or trying to even up the count back, and I kind of gave him his chance to get a hit right and go out there, and he just missed it by a little bit. And so then it almost becomes it becomes more in my favor again, because now I can throw whatever. And I think I threw a breaker here, coming right off that fastball, and then it becomes, like I said, an advantage in my favor. I kind of gave him that pitch to hit, and he missed it, so then it became my turn to kind of go after him.
So how do you locate this breaking ball so well? Like, are you thinking of when you're kind of aiming, I guess, for lack of a better term, are you thinking about starting it kind of where that fastball was? Because it almost tunnels that way.
So that's what people have asked me that. My coach have actually asked me that. So when you throw a curveball, right, most people have it they'll look at the left catcher, his shoulder or whatever. I don't do that. I don't know why. I've never done that in my life. I look at the glove. So wherever the glove's setting up, I'm trying to throw it there. And so all the catchers know in the organization that in the Marlins that I throw my curveball to the glove. So wherever they're setting it up, that's where I'm aiming. That's where I'm trying to sit. I don't know why I do it that way, but for some reason, if I look at the catcher's left shoulder, or let's say the hitter's front hip, it just doesn't go well. And so I've always had success just looking at the catcher's glove. I know that sounds really simple, but it's just really how it is. And obviously, I know here that I just threw a fastball to him, and he was pretty on time. So it's either it made sense in my mind to obviously go with a curveball here, because he hadn't really seen one sharp like that in the dirt. He had seen a fastball up. He had seen a curveball that I landed for a strike, and then he saw what did I say? I threw the curveball in the dirt, I believe.
Dirt, yeah.
And then he didn't really even he didn't even really look at it much, because it was in the dirt and the runner was going. Threw a fastball, he missed, and then threw the breaking ball here. But
I mean, just looking at it from right there, it's that's a ball that looks like it's probably on the same plane that the fastball was, and then it ends up. Look at where the catcher's glove is. I mean, that's just absurd. So that you set down a really good hitter there with Jace Young. We're going to go to one of the most feared hitters in the minor leagues this past year. I mean, Ellie De La Cruz was spectacular. And yes, he's better from the left side than the right side. But I mean, this guy was 30-30 basically and was just an absolute machine. And you don't want to fall behind guys like this. And I picked this at bat because you did fall behind, and it happens, right? You're a human, you're a pitcher. But the way you worked back from this was really impressive to me. And this is why I pulled it, because, you miss with the 2. And again, this is a guy that, you talk about kind of challenging and giving in, and saying, hey, try and hit this. This might be one of the guys that you want to do that the least to, right? But of course, you have the confidence in your stuff. You fall behind 2-0. I know you're a competitor, and I know you feel like you can get anybody out. But just knowing who you're facing and who your opponent is, what is your approach when you fall behind 2-0 on one of the hottest hitters in the minor leagues, or one of the best performers at that point that you might want to be a little bit more careful with, but also you trust your stuff?
Yeah, I mean, with Ellie De La Cruz, obviously he's a very good hitter, one of the top minor league hitters right now in all of baseball. And so the thing is just limiting damage. Like I said, I got behind 2-0, and I know I think I ended up striking him out here, but like that wasn't the goal, right? Like the goal was to obviously get an out here and limit damage, because there was a runner on first base. I think this was the last inning I threw. And so like when I fall behind 2-0, like I kind of know, okay, land strikes, try to get an easy ground out, easy pop fly, like don't give him anything center cut, because like you did say, he can do damage with it. And so that was just my goal, is to kind of like get back in the count after throwing 2 balls in the dirt that weren't competitive, is like, okay, try to flip a curveball in there, try to get another one to like swing and miss. And then here, when I evened up the count, I went at him. But that's the thing is like, I know obviously he can do damage, so I've tried to keep it away from him. It's maybe not a guy that I am going to try to challenge down the middle with a fastball.
No, I don't think very many were. And if they did, it ended up 460 feet in the seats. This guy's power is ridiculous.
Exactly.
But again, what's amazing is you talked about, how much you want to improve the one big focus for you is fastball command. You mentioned that on the podcast, going into next year, but the breaking ball command is so good. And again, you use that pitch twice in a row to even the count against one of the most feared hitters in the minor leagues. What is your thought here? Because you get kind of a rough swing from him, and he doesn't make a lot of swings like that. After showing it once, you throw it again, and you get a very out on his front foot kind of swing. At that point, are you thinking like, do I try and blow one by him, or you just saw that swing, let's do it again and see if you can make an adjustment pitch to pitch?
So my thing is I'm pretty sure if you can play it, but I'm pretty sure I threw a changeup in the dirt here. No, I threw fastball. Okay, when do I throw a changeup in the dirt? I think it's the next pitch. Anyway, yeah, either you.
There's the changeup in the dirt.
Okay, yeah, I was going to say it was around here. I remember it. But yeah, like I said, I threw a fastball there, that 2-2 count, after I threw 2 breaking balls, because I worked the count even again, and I know that he's going to not do damage if I can get it up and in like that. Like, I'd rather get it more up and in than leave it over the plate. You know what I mean? And so if you remember, if you look, I tried to get it up as high as I could, basically, because it also
the fastball.
Yeah, the 2-2 one, because it also sets up my curveball as well. Because I went fastball up at the hand.
He's not burning you there. It's if he hits that out, you tip your cap, right? I mean,
exactly.
If he tomahawks that thing out.
Yeah, I mean, and at most there, I feel like that's maybe a single, maybe a double, but I don't think he gets that ball out there. And so then I try to go change up here just because I hadn't shown it the at bat. I kind of spike it. And then obviously I went back to the curveball because I challenged him up. It didn't work. And then I was like, okay, let's just tunnel the curveball off the fastball. And that's just kind of what I did.
How much does it help you when you go, twice with the curveball, but then even showing him the changeup that you spiked, but it was fastball up, changeup. You showed him 2 different pitches before going back to the curveball. How much do you think that kind of helps? Because if you tripled up on it, is a good hitter. Maybe he makes enough of an adjustment to stay back and drive it. Like, was that something that may give you more confidence 3-2 since you flashed the 2 other pitches, even though they didn't set him down?
I mean, yeah. I mean, like we talked about this in the other podcast, was like flashing those other pitches, because like I said, my curveball is my best pitch, right? But at the same time, the more you see it, the more custom you're going to get to it. And so, whenever I threw those 2 pitches, I was like, okay, like I even the account back up, and then I tried to go for a changeup because I've been working on it. It didn't work out. Then I went fastball because I had thrown so much off speed, like slow. I was like, okay, maybe I can sneak a fastball by him. And then that didn't work, and I was like, okay, like I just do a fastball. And now I think the curveball is a good time to do it. And I know people know that I faced it. Like I'm sure their scouting report says that I like to throw 3-2 breaking balls, so I'm sure they're not surprised by it. But when I throw all that other stuff, 2-2, 3-2, changeup, curveball, and fastball, it's like okay, like they're still guessing to some sort. It's not like they know what's coming.
Yeah, it's still the voice in the back of their head, because even if the scouting report says Dax Fulton throws the breaking ball 3-2, 45, 50, even 60% of the time, there's still another 40%. And if you flash them and remind them that, that's enough to keep it in the back of their heads. We've got a couple more ABs. This one specifically made me miss baseball 0%. Like any amount that I missed getting in the batter's box just went away watching this at bat and the way that you execute these pitches. I'm going to just let this run and not say a word. And you can tell me when to stop.
Ooh, I wanted to call so bad. I
Look
thought
at
I
that.
got it, man. That's close.
That's a strike.
That's part of human umpires, man. I mean, hey, sometimes you get them, sometimes you don't.
So can you just like this is, I feel like this had to be one of those where you just felt like it was all working, right? I mean,
yeah. I mean, obviously, this was a very good day for me. I mean, I felt very good. Body, everything was synced up. Pitch, all three pitches were working. It was a good day for me. But in this at bat alone, I remember if you go back in earlier in the season, I'm pretty sure Xavier got pretty sure he hit a ball down the line on me on a changeup. And so I kind of took this as a goal in my mind because like I'm pretty what's the word? Stubborn. I'm pretty stubborn, and so I wanted to throw that chip and like kind of get it by him just to kind of prove that I've been working on it and it got better. And so that's why you see the two changeups at the beginning. I threw first pitch changeup, then I doubled up again on the changeup because, like I said, most people kind of are expecting curveball. And so when him starting to flash that changeup more, it's kind of like, oh, okay, now we know he has that. So it's something for them to think about.
100%. And I mean, so you go with the breaking ball breaking towards him, then the changeup breaking the other way. And then, at that point, I mean, that's just ridiculous. You could pretty much feel like you could go to anything. Did you have any thought of like buzzing the fastball up, or did you feel like you might be bailing him out doing that, given the swings that you got on the other two, off-speed pitches?
What I like to do is with my changeup and fastball, since my fastball does have a lot of cut, and you can see me try to do it right here, is I'll throw that changeup away, right? And you kind of get the hitters leaning, and it goes away from the zone, right? If you notice what I tried to do there is I tried to run like my fastball, like can cut it back over the outside of the plate because it's almost like an automatic take for them, right? Because they see that ball out there and they just saw two changeups. And so they see that ball out there and they're like, oh, okay, maybe another changeup. And if I can run that back there, it's almost like me being able to steal a strike from them. And so like most of the time y'all go up and in here or I'll go like curveball in the dirt or whatever, right? But I like to try that cutter away, especially after throwing those changeups like that because it's running away, and then you got that fastball that kind of cuts in at the last second. Sometimes I can steal a strike like that, and like I said, I thought it was a strike, but things happen.
Oh, but also the way that you're able to just kind of, all right, flush it, next pitch, execute, and right there you locate it. But what's amazing too is you had him you could see him kind of diving out a little bit. He was not going to pull the trigger on a fastball there, and he was pretty much taken all the way. You set him down on the breaking ball anyways, and he just pretty much looked as uncomfortable as possible with the way that you executed those pitches. One last one here, or did we do this one already? No, did we get this one in?
No, this is Garrett. Yeah, he's from Texas.
Okay, so we've got this one here, which fastball just spotted up. And also, real quick, before we get into this at bat, can you talk about your mechanics and just like when you're going right, what are you trying to feel? Because I always like learning a little bit more about a pitcher's mechanics, especially a 6'7" lefty.
So if you remember earlier in the year and some of my starts, I would have a lot of like fastballs like up and out on me. Like they would just kind of like take away from me, and they
Hmm.
weren't competitive. And a lot of that was to do with like me just kind of like rushing down the mound, like falling down the mound. And so a big thing for me when I'm going good is like just feeling that feeling myself stay over and kind of carry myself over my back foot as I'm riding down the mound. Because if I can stay over that back leg and then get my arm up on time, all my I should be synced up, right? And so that's one thing that I really think about is like kind of getting my hips tilted a little bit and then staying over that back rubber, because when I do that, and you'll see in just a second, you'll see my hips tilt. You can see them kind of like go up a little bit because that's just kind of like my load. But yeah, if I can stay over that back rubber, that really helps me stay on time. Right there, yeah, you see my hips just tilt just a little bit, just to try to like keep me back a little bit longer.
Yeah, 100%. And again, like when you have it, you can just really see how much you have, and how much of it is just harder with the long levers that you have to just kind of control your body as a tall lefty pitcher. It seems like that's a pretty common thing to just takes a little bit longer, for tall lefties to kind of get their command going, which is what makes your season last year, I think, all the more impressive, especially coming off of Tommy John too. I know it takes usually some guys a couple years to fully get that command back. And how hard is it, do you feel like, for guys that are as tall as you to kind of control their body as well as you have started to do, and just in general?
Well, I mean, I don't really know what it would be like to be short, because I mean, it's been a long I
Yeah.
had. Um, but I mean, like I said, it probably just takes me a little bit longer to kind of get things used to it. But at the end of the day, I know now that it takes me a little bit longer to get my mechanics and things in check. And so now that I know that like maybe I should just start a little bit earlier. Maybe I should
Mhm.
work on my mechanics before I get to spring training. So like I feel really good with where I'm at right now. Like what is it, February 14th, 13th? Like where I'm at right now, I feel like this is probably the best I've ever felt before a season has started.
Yeah.
Because of the time this off season to really make sure things were in check.
So this was an interesting one too, because you go fastball, just miss a little bit out, and then I
Change it.
can't quite tell if this is kind of more that like backdoor cutter fastball or a changeup.
Yeah.
Change up? Well,
Mhm.
yeah, that's just ridiculous. When you miss away with the fastball, that miss almost helped you, because then you go to the changeup and it fades away. So now you get him on the changeup. You're ahead 1-2, and that was probably another changeup, or was that a fastball?
It was
That's
a
right.
curveball. It was a curveball that
That was a curveball.
it looked like one. If you want to replay it, I didn't really look at it. Most of the time, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that
a
was a
curveball.
curveball. That was a curveball. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So
but that's not really like so. I'm trying I try to make up for my misses, right? So like you had mentioned earlier, like I missed away with my fastball, right? So instead of like just like throwing away that pitch, I try to like me and my coaches, we've tried to figure out ways to where I can use those past pitches to like work off something else, right? So in the other at bat, we had talked about how I went fastball up to Ellie De La Cruz, and then I tried to tunnel the curveball off of it. Here, I missed way out with the fastball, but I know he was kind of watching it all the way in because they know it cuts. So I was like, okay, let's try to throw a changeup off. I didn't mean for it to end out that far away, but at the same time, it kind of worked the same way.
100%. And then you get that swing on the changeup. So now you kind of got anything at your disposal here. And that breaking ball, so he's a pretty good swing to spoil that. But what does
Yeah.
that tell you now? He's out front though. Like, so what are you thinking after that? Like he fouled it off.
I don't know what I'm about to throw here, but after watching that swing from not being in the game, I'd throw heater. I'd throw fastball here, but that's just me. What did I throw there? What was that?
Sorry, clicked back.
Yeah, it was a fastball. I just didn't get it up
Fastball.
enough. Yeah, I just didn't get it up. I feel like if I get it up just like probably a ball or two, then it's I probably maybe a
So
change or something.
yeah, so he gets that swing off on it now. You thinking you can go fastball again, change up, maybe away again after the swing you got earlier?
Well, after those two swings, it almost like I said, it doesn't look like he's trying to hit the ball really hard. It almost looks like you said spoiling the pitch is kind of battling. So I feel like it's 2-2. I have a ball to work with. So I feel like after those two pitches, I kind of open up what I can use now. So I feel like I could throw. I think I throw a change up here, but I could be wrong. Yeah, change up. I threw a change up here. And like I said, just kind of opens up what I have because I threw curveball, threw fastball, and then he was out in front, so I went back to a changeup. Even though that really wasn't a well-located changeup, I got to get that down.
But it was good enough with the movement. And it's sorry, I got one more because I just love
Okay.
this camera angle. One more camera angle because this one looks like a big league angle right here. So I love this one. And then this is a good. I liked this at bat because Ethan Murray's the hitter here, and he's just a guy. Talk about that could spoil pitches. Just a difficult guy to punch out generally, and puts bat on ball, and is going to kind of annoy you. And you do a good job of just.
I think I faced him in Double-A too.
Sorry,
I think I faced him in Double-A against Biloxi.
I think you guys were pretty close in timing on the promotion. So, you get. That first, well, that was close too. Jeez. So first pitch break, just out and away. First pitch breaking ball misses. So this is another one where you fall behind.
See how I missed up and out there? Like, I just got to stay back better.
So at that, you feel no, it's great. It's great, right? So you miss up and out a little bit. So now you're thinking like kind of making that tweak that you were just talking about, right? Staying back over the rubber a little bit, just trying to get back over it.
Yeah.
And you feel like you just got better and better with those like in-game adjustments last year.
Yeah, well, it's just like I said, my coaches did a really good job of just like teaching me different things to do during the game to kind of reset myself.
I mean, to go off of that miss up and out to then snap this pitch in there, 2-0, like it's and I can see how you say that breaking ball is like your reset pitch. That seems to reset you here. So you get that strike, not a great swing on that 2-0 pitch. That was another breaking ball, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, it looks like
it. Yeah, it looked like a fastball.
Was he that early on a fastball?
That or maybe it pulled changeup. I don't know. Yeah, that's a change.
I think it was a pulled changeup.
It looked
like. So he's out front of the changeup there.
Better with it.
Now you pulled the changeup a little bit, but you kind of refound the breaking ball after missing with the fastball here. So are you kind of going to what's working, or do you try the fastball again? I don't know how much you remember this at bat.
I really don't remember this at bat at all, but we'll see. I went to curveball here though.
Yeah. Go with what works, right?
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, and again, like where you're set up, where you're aiming here. You talk about aiming at the glove. Is that why the glove is pretty much down there right now? Like these catchers all know, like you said.
I'm trying to go to back foot here because I do have a 2-2. I'm trying to go to that back foot there because I mean, like I said, I pulled my changeup, which obviously I shouldn't be doing, but I pulled my changeup right, and then I was like, okay, like he just saw that. Let's try something in the or at least something that starts in the play.
All right. Well, I won't take any more of your time. I could do this all day with you, with some of your nasty breaking balls and good at bats that I was able to kind of pull here. And there's so many more to be able to dissect. But again, a reminder to those that are watching right now to go check out the full interview with Dax on our podcast or on YouTube, which Dax really breaks down kind of everything that he's been able to achieve and just all the improvements he made last year. But Dax, one last time, thank you so much for taking the time to do both the podcast and this little StreamYard breakdown, man. And hopefully we can do this again when you have some more AA, AAA, and then maybe some big league footage. We'll be looking forward to breaking down some of those pitches with you if you're up for it.
All righty. I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Of course, man. Have a good one.
You too.